So, what do you think about the zero hunger in the world?
Well, I think that the hunger is a big problem, especially in the poor parts of the world. The figures about hunger are enormous and really shocking. Around 821 million people are undernourished in 2017. We find this very concerning and think something needs to change. The younger people, children under 5 years, are underfeeded, and because they don't get a lot of nutrients, therefore they get a bloated stomach. Because of a lack of nutrients, these people aren't able to function. Thereby, the parents can't work and afford good food for themselves and their children.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about good health and well-being in the world?
Well, we are very fortunate that we live in a prosperous country where health is obvious. This is particularly because the hospitals are really good organized. Many countries in the world aren't so lucky to experience this good health. In poor countries, the child mortality rate is very high. This is because the skilled delivery care is very bad. And most people cannot afford to go to the hospital to get birth. And the hospitals that are in the poor countries are mostly very bad and they don't have the equipment to properly help.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, and also the life expectancy is very low. And we're very lucky that we're not familiar with these extreme circumstances. So, what do you think about life below water and why is the ocean so important to us?
Well, this is important because the ocean is the engine of the earth and it makes it possible to live on the earth for humans and all the other species. Because of the ice caps that are melting, the sea level is rising. This is very dangerous for us because we are living under the sea level. Another great thing about the sea is that we trade and transport a lot of our products over the sea. I think it is very important that we protect us from the sea level rising and because the ocean is an important resource. It is a key feature of a sustainable future. So, do you think we take enough action for the climate change?
Well, I think that not enough people know much about climate action, and I think that schools need to provide more lessons about climate change, not only in the Netherlands but all over the world. Even in the developing countries, they need to know more about the climate change and what the consequences are of them. Climate change is now affecting every country on every continent, and without action, the world's average surface temperature is likely to surpass 3 degrees this century, and the poorest and the most vulnerable people are being affected the most. But a lot of countries adopted the Paris Agreement at the COP21 in Paris. And this is an agreement that countries are going to limit the global temperature rise to below 2 degrees. And this went into operation in November 2016. And as of April 2018, 175 countries and 10 developing countries already carried out their plans regarding climate change.
Yeah, the Paris Agreement is a great benefit for the climate change.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
Yeah, and it also prevents that the world will change too much because of the humans.
Yeah.
So, the next subject that we are going to talk about is the lazy person's guide. Things that we think that can put into practice on Schouwen-Duiveland is a lot. We have made a selection of the best activities to save the world. The first thing is eat less meat and fish. More resources are used to provide meat than plants. Eating meat is very bad for the world because it produced a lot of CO2.
Yeah, and did you know when making meat you need to use a lot of water? And it's also proof that meat is not good for your health. So I think it must be a problem to put into action.
The second thing that we are going to talk about is recycling paper, plastic, glass and aluminium keeps landfills from growing. Paper, plastic and all sorts of that things are really bad for the environment, especially when they are mixed together. When you separate plastic, it can be reusable. This is a huge benefit. In this way, the environment is less affected by humans.
Yeah, and it is just a little effort to just separate your garbage. And in this way, it can be reused. The next thing is to adjust your thermostat, lower in the summer and higher in the winter. When it isn't cold outside, it is not necessary to turn the heat on. And also the other way. When it isn't hot outside, it's a waste to put the air conditioning on.
Another thing about the thermostat is that when you turn the heat on, you need to close your windows because otherwise all the heat will stream out.
Yeah. And the next thing is to use refillable water bottles and coffee cups. We need to cut down on waste and maybe even save money at coffee shops. All the plastic bottles are really bad for the environment. And plastic bottles are hard to digest.
Maybe you can even save money because when you are using a refillable water bottle, you don't have to buy a new bottle every time.
Yeah, true. Bring your own bag when you shop and pass on a plastic bag and start carrying your own reusable totes. When I'm going shopping for clothes, I buy one bag and then I use this bag for the whole day and put all my clothes that I buy that day in the bag.
Yes, I do the same. And when I go shopping for grocery, I also have a bag for that in my home. I use this every time until it is broken.
Yeah.
So the next thing that we are going to talk about is donate what you don't use. Local charities will give you gently used clothes, books and furniture a new life. Donate all kind of stuff that you don't use is really good because someone else who doesn't have that much money can have that for free.
Yeah, and what I'm doing when I'm cleaning my closet once a year, we donate everything that I don't like or it doesn't fit anymore. In Burgaanstede, the town that I live in, we have some sort of container where we can put all of our clothes, and it's going to the poor countries. The last thing we're gonna talk about is you need to raise your voice against any type of discrimination in your office. Everyone is equal regardless of their gender, race, sexual orientation, social background and physical abilities. I am really against any type of discrimination and I think we can organize some sort of day that we celebrate that everyone is different and maybe have a different background.
Yes, I think that too. And maybe it will also help to educate younger people about the difference between sexualities and that is very normal and you cannot judge someone.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Another action that we can do on Schouwen-Duiveland is drive less. We don't have our driving license yet, but we can still make more use out of the public transformation. We should not let our parents drive us everywhere, but take the bus more often. I do have to say that taking the bus is not fun, because those buses are very uncomfortable to sit in and the buses need to drive more often. So I think that is something for the township to change, and I think that if they change that, more people will use the bus.
Yes, I also think that they need to make the bus less expensive because it's very expensive now.
Yeah.
Another action is take reusable bags. We don't need to use a plastic bag all the time and we can make special reusable bags. We can ask our art department to design special reusable bags for the inhabitants of Schouwen-Duiveland so they can use these special made bags instead of plastic bags.
Yeah, that's a good initiative.
More education on health. We need more education on health. It can start at high schools but also at primary schools. We need to educate ourselves more on how to stay healthy. We can invite professionals at our school to explain something about eating healthy. Many people don't know how to eat healthy or how to stay healthy. What food is good for you and stuff like that.
Yeah, I really need that because I don't know how to eat healthy. We could also buy local food at farmers markets. This is something we could really do on Schouwen-Duiveland and I think a lot of people really like. We can have more farmers market and we can approach more local farmers to sell their products on the markets. It's good to buy more local products because they are helping the farmers and the food is produced and made in a healthy way.
Buying fair trade products. We need to sell more fair trade products at our local supermarkets. And we need to stop with selling food made in a bad way and only buy products with the Better Life quality mark. Fair trade products are made in a fair way and we need to support that more.
Yeah, totally. We could also turn off electrical equipment. This is something that the people at their houses need to do, but we can raise more awareness about using electronic equipment because we use a lot of power. If you are using them and using a lot of power is bad for the environment.
Yes, I agree.
Then we watched 3 videos on the website of the United Nations. And the first one was about sustainable clothing. We watched a video that was about sustainable clothing and about the many innovations that are being made in the fashion industry. It was really cool and totally up our alley because we both are into fashion and we think it is really important that we are making these innovations for the clothing of the future. And I want to buy more clothing that is produced in a fair way.
Yes, I want that too. Then we watched another video about the impact of global warming. If the Earth temperature rises to 1.5 degrees, the impact will be enormous. The temperature is already warmed up by 1 degree due to human activity. We need to stop this now, otherwise we are too late. All the countries in the world came with the Paris Agreement and they are now putting their plans into action.
Yeah, I think the impact of global warming is really big. And
really shocking.
Yeah, and if we don't start now with taking action, I think we're too late.
Yes, I think.
The last one was from UNICEF, and it was about Kalita, and it was a girl from Nepal. She plays soccer, but in her country, it is not really common for girls to play soccer. She goes to school and really does her best, but her parents want to marry her off, which is very sad to see and hear, because she really has a bright future ahead with her soccer and school. So we came up with an idea for the day at Pons Pieter Zeeman, where we do something for the environment. And we came up with the idea to have a clothing sale at Pons Pieter Zeeman. People would bring their second-hand clothing or new clothing to us, and we try to sell it. 75% of the profit goes to charity, and we've chosen to give the money to Save the Children, and it's a charity that helps children around the world who are in need of medical care, of food, of clothes, you name it. And the other 25% goes to the previous owner so that they can also make a little profit out of it. And we've chosen this idea because we are both really into fashion and we like to shop, and with this idea everything is combined, and we don't do something for the environment this way because buying secondhand clothing is better,